The USB drive sat in the evidence bag like a loaded weapon. Inside it, 23 minutes of security footage that would change everything. Principal Reynolds stared at the device on his desk, hands trembling. Behind him, Oakwood High carried on as if nothing had happened. But in room 27, the blood had barely been cleaned from the floor. "You need to understand something," Sarah Williams said, her voice carrying courtroom calm. "That USB doesn't just show my daughter defending herself. It shows your failure, your system's failure, and every second you've ignored what's been happening in your school." The principal loosened his tie. "Mrs. Williams, I understand you're upset, but we have policies. You have policies you don't enforce." Sarah's fingers moved to her folder. "Shall we discuss the 17 documented incidents over the past month? Or should we skip straight to California Education Code 48,900? 3 weeks earlier, none of this seemed possible. Ava Williams had walked through Oakwood High's halls like a ghost, invisible by choice, silent by design. Her father, even now, 2 years after the funeral, she could hear his voice during their training sessions. "Control, Ava. Always control. The moment you lose control is the moment you lose everything." Marcus Williams had been many things: decorated Marine, tactical defense instructor, father. But above all, he'd been a man who understood that true strength meant knowing when not to use it. "You're recording today?" Sarah asked without looking up from her papers. Ava touched the tiny camera pin on her backpack. "Always am. And remember, California is a 2-party consent state for audio, but video in public spaces is legal." "I know, Mom." Sarah finally looked up. "I hate that you have to know that," Dad would say. "Knowledge is just another form of self-defense." He was usually right. Ava grabbed her backpack, checking that her phone's recording app was set to voice. Activation mode. Evidence. Always evidence in Sarah Williams's world. She saw them before they saw her. Kyle Morrison holding court near the main entrance. His lackeys flanking him like bargain bin bodyguards. Kyle's father owned 3 car dealerships and never let anyone forget it. "Hey, look who it is." The mute. Ava kept walking. In her pocket, her phone silently began recording. First period was AP History with Ms. Chen, one of the few teachers who actually noticed things. The morning crawled by. By fourth period English, the familiar weight of dread had settled in her stomach. The substitute teacher was nervous, immediately buried in lesson plans. Substitutes were always bad news. They didn't know the dynamics, didn't see the warning signs. The door slammed open. Kyle entered first, his presence filling the room. The temperature seemed to drop 5 degrees. "Mr. Morrison," the substitute said weakly. "You're late." "Sorry, sir. Had to discuss something with Coach." Every instinct her father had drilled into her was screaming. Threat assessment. 3 hostels. Limited exits. Unreliable authority figure. Her pencil moved across the page. Tuesday, October 15th, 2:37 p.m. Room 207, KMLC DW present. Feeling unsafe? Documentation. Always documentation. "Hey, Ava." Kyle's voice cut through. "I'm talking to you." Ava didn't look up. Never engage unless engagement is unavoidable. "I said I'm talking to you." Other students were turning to watch. "Mr. Morrison, please focus on the lesson." "I am focused, sir. Just trying to help our new student participate. She never talks." "Don't you think that's weird?" "Leave her alone, Kyle," Maya from history class said. Kyle was moving now, closing distance. 7 years of training didn't shut off just because she wanted to be normal? Still nothing to say? Kyle was at her desk now, looming. "You know what I think? I think you're just a stuck-up bitch who thinks she's better than everyone, Mr. Morrison." "Principal's office now." Kyle laughed. "For what?" "My dad donates 30 grand a year to this school." His hand moved toward her notebook. "Don't touch my property." The words came out clear, calm, legally precise. Several students gasped. Most had never heard her speak. Kyle's grin widened. "She talks." "Finally, I said don't touch my property. That's theft, under California Penal Code 484. The room went silent. "You think you're smart?" Think Daddy taught you some fancy words before he died? My father's death isn't relevant to your harassment, which, by the way, now includes intentional infliction of emotional distress. Harassment? Kyle's voice pitched higher. I haven't even touched you yet. The substitute was moving now, reaching for the classroom phone. I'm calling security. Don't bother. Kyle reached out fast, going for Ava's notebook. Time slowed. Ava's left hand moved, intercepting his wrist with textbook precision. Not a grab, just a redirect, using his momentum against him. The notebook fell. Don't touch me. Kyle jerked his hand back, eyes wide with humiliation. You little, his hand moved again, faster, going for her throat. Open palm, fingers spread. Ava had a split second to make a choice. Let it happen and trust the system that had failed her for 3 weeks. Or honor everything her father had taught her. His palm made contact with her collar. Battery, she said quietly. Cal Penal Code 242. Then she moved. The sequence took less than 3 seconds. Her right hand secured his wrist in a control position. Her body shifted, using principles of leverage her father had drilled into her since she was 9. I warned you, she said loud enough for the camera. I am defending myself. The judo throw was textbook. Kyle's feet left the ground. He hit the floor hard, but clean. Maximum psychological impact. Minimum actual damage. The room erupted. Students screaming, chairs scraping. Liam was moving, reaching for her. Stay back, she warned. But Liam kept coming. The second throw was different. A foot sweep. Liam went down faster than Kyle, his phone skittering across the floor. Derek was backing away, still filming. You've got it all on video? She asked calmly. He nodded, speechless. Good evidence of self-defense? Thank you. Derek made the mistake of trying to run, grabbing for her backpack, the one with the camera pin. The wrist lock was gentle, just enough pressure to make him drop the backpack and his phone. She released him immediately, stepped back, hands visible and open. Everyone, stay calm. I'm not a threat to anyone who doesn't attack me first. The door burst open. Officer Martinez entered, hand on his radio, taking in the scene. Nobody move, he commanded. His eyes found hers. You okay? Yes, sir. I was defending myself against assault and battery. Everything's on camera. She pointed to the security camera, then to Derek's phone. Multiple angles. She attacked us, Kyle spluttered, blood dripping onto his shirt. She's crazy. Your dad's going to what? A familiar voice cut through. Sarah Williams stood in the doorway, immaculate in her courtroom suit. She must have broken speed limits to get here so fast. Mrs. Williams, Principal Reynolds started, Your daughter has assaulted 3 students. Defended herself against 3 attackers, Sarah corrected. Officer Martinez, I trust you'll be taking statements from all witnesses. I see at least 22 students who observed the entire incident. I'll also need copies of all security footage. I assume you've preserved it as evidence? This is a school matter? This is an assault case. My daughter was physically attacked in your classroom under your supervision. Or should I say lack thereof. Her eyes found the substitute teacher. Where were you when Mr. Morrison put his hands on my daughter's throat? I was calling security. After how many minutes of witnessed harassment? Sarah pulled out her phone. I'm forwarding you documentation of previous incidents. 17 in 3 weeks. All reported, none addressed. That's a pattern of deliberate indifference. She knows martial arts, Kyle said. That's like bringing a weapon to school. Knowledge isn't a weapon, Ava said. Everyone turned to look at her. But if you want to talk about weapons, let's discuss how you've been using your father's money and influence as one. Ava, Sarah warned. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of accidental shoves, destroyed homework, whispered threats. Did you think I wasn't keeping track? Every incident, every witness, every detail. My mom taught me that evidence wins cases. But my dad taught me that sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. Today, I used both lessons. Officer Martinez cleared his throat. I'm going to need everyone to stay put while I take statements. Are you arresting my daughter? Sarah asked. From what I can see, your daughter used reasonable force to defend herself. However, He looked at Kyle, Liam, and Derek. "You three are going to need to call your parents." "This is bullshit," Kyle exploded. "My dad will have your badge." Sarah smiled then, the kind of smile that made corporate lawyers wake up in cold sweats. "Please do have your father call his attorney. I'll be fascinated to discuss his son's assault charges. The video evidence Derek so helpfully provided. In the civil suit, I'll be filing against both your family and this school district for failure to provide a safe learning environment." She turned to Principal Reynolds. "Shall we discuss this in your office? I believe we have significant matters to address regarding your policies." Maya appeared beside Ava, helping collect papers. "That was incredible." "It was necessary," Ava corrected. "Why today?" "What made you finally fight back?" Ava looked at the notebook page in her hand. At the bottom, in different ink, Dad would understand. "Today, I stopped being afraid. My father used to say that self-defense isn't about winning fights. It's about ending them quickly, decisively, and legally." Derek's phone continued recording. In 12 hours, the video would have 3 million views. In 24 hours, news stations would be calling. In 48 hours, Ava Williams would become a symbol, though, of what exactly depended on who was telling the story. But right now, in room 27, she was just a 16-year-old girl who'd kept her promise to her dead father and her living mother. She'd defended herself with control, with precision, within the bounds of the law. The USB drive with the security footage would show every second in crisp detail. It would be Exhibit A in Sarah Williams's lawsuit against the school district. For 3 weeks, she'd been a ghost. Today, she'd become something else entirely. "Not a ninja," Ava said quietly. "Just a girl who refused to be a victim?" Principal Reynolds returned, face grave. "Miss Williams, we need to discuss." "No," Sarah interrupted. "What we need to discuss is how this school is going to ensure this never happens again to any student ever. I've already contacted the school board, the district superintendent, and the California Department of Education." The school board meeting that night was standing room only. Parents, students, teachers, and media packed the auditorium. When order was restored, Sarah stood. The room fell silent. "My name is Sarah Williams. I'm an attorney specializing in educational law. I'm also Ava Williams's mother." She pulled out a stack of papers. 23 documented incidents over 3 weeks. Emails to counselors, reports to teachers, all dismissed or ignored. "My daughter did everything right," she reported. She documented. She sought help through proper channels. The system failed her. "We have policies," Reynolds interjected. "You have paper?" Sarah shot back. "Policies mean nothing without enforcement." She turned to address the crowd. "How many of your children have stories? How many have been told to ignore it, or boys will be boys? How many have suffered in silence?" Hands raised throughout the auditorium. Too many hands. "We're filing a civil suit, not just against the 3 families whose sons attacked my daughter, but against this district for maintaining a hostile educational environment. Every penny will go toward establishing real anti-bullying programs." By the end, the board voted unanimously to review and revise all policies. 3 weeks later, the criminal cases were resolved. Kyle pled guilty to assault and received probation. All 3 were expelled. The civil case ended in a settlement. $3 million from each family placed in trust for anti-bullying programs. The school district agreed to federal monitoring and comprehensive policy changes. The Ava Williams Foundation launched 6 months later. Free self-defense classes paired with legal education. Know your rights. Know your body. Know your options. "We're not teaching violence," Ava explained to a reporter. "We're teaching empowerment. My dad always said the best fight is the one you avoid. But when avoidance isn't possible, you need to know how to protect yourself within the law." Do you regret what happened that day? I regret that it got to that point. I regret that 3 boys thought they could put hands on me without consequences. But defending myself? No, I'll never regret that. 2 years after the incident, Ava gave the commencement speech at her graduation. "High school taught me that systems can fail, that authority can be complicit, that sometimes you have to save yourself. But it also taught me that change is possible, that one person standing up can inspire others. To those who've been bullied, who've been silenced, document everything. Know your rights. Find your voice. And if you need to defend yourself, the law is there to protect you. My father taught me to fight. My mother taught me to win. But what I learned on my own is that the greatest victory isn't in the takedown. It's in making sure no one else has to throw that punch. The applause was thunderous. As she stood outside the auditorium, Ava pulled out her phone. She typed a final message to the contact labeled Dad's phone. Graduated today. Gave a speech about room 207, Mom cried. I think you would have been proud not of the throws, but of what came after. I kept my promise. I stayed in control. I made it matter. Love you. She hit send, then deleted the contact. She didn't need to send messages to the past anymore. Her father's lessons lived in every young person she trained, every policy that changed. Every bully who chose a different path. The email arrived years later from Chase Langston. Kyle's cousin, Miss Williams, my daughter, started high school this year. Last week she came home crying. Some boys had cornered her. Then she remembered something from a video she'd seen your graduation speech. She asked me to sign her up for self-defense classes. I'm sorry for what my cousin did. But I'm grateful that you turned something horrible into something that's protecting kids like my daughter. Thank you. Ava forwarded it to her mother with a simple note. Dad was right. The best revenge is prevention. The circle was complete. The girl who'd been silenced had given voice to thousands. The violence in room 27 had become the foundation for peace in countless other classrooms. That USB drive had captured 23 minutes that changed everything. But the real evidence of victory wasn't in the footage. It was in every child who walked a little taller, every bully who chose a different path, every school that remembered that justice delayed is justice denied.